Back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Brian Smiley, the head baseball coach at Miami of Ohio. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Guys are itching, getting ready to open up here in a week and a half.
So, yeah, we're only a week and a half away from the season. What have you kind of learned in these practices about what kind of team you have?
Well, right now we got the flu running through our team. We had some a run of bad luck the last 4 to 5 days. We've had I would say probably 10 to 12 guys out with the flu. So this past weekend's scrimmage schedule was kind of thrown kind of in a loop or for a loop there. So haven't learned quite as much as we would like, but we've got a good group. We've got a good group. We're gonna throw strikes on the mound. We're gonna play, good defense and execute offensively. So I like our group. I like the direction that we're headed, and we got a bunch of guys that are just itching to open up and play.
Okay. So kind of take me around the diamond. Tell us all the returning guys that you have, and maybe some of the new faces that may not know. Just freshmen coming in, or some guys from the portal.
Sure, yeah. So we'll start. Our shortstop, Dylan Baker, he's as good as there is. He's as good a shortstop defensively as I've ever coached. He's shorthanded, can make every play. The ball hits his hands, you're going to be out. So he's certainly a luxury to have back. Older guy, experienced, solid hitter as well. Hit in the leadoff spot for us last year. I don't know if that's where he'll stay, but did a good job. He's kind of that guy that you know what you're going to get. Nothing he does is, so to speak, flashy or sexy, but he's the definition of knowing what you're going to get offensively and certainly defensively. So it's quality at bat after quality at bat and routine play after routine play. So you know what you're going to get with him. Behind the plate, David Novak, I should say. He caught 55 of our 56 total games last year, or 54. He caught 53 of our 54 games, and he's just rock solid, man. Good receiver, good blocker, physical, durable. Played, had 2 cortisone shots last year in his arm just to get through the season. Just a tough dude. Tough dude. What you want behind the plate. He's a leader, and he can hit. Physical right-handed hitter. He'll hit somewhere in the middle of our order. He's got some power, and he has kind of a knack for coming through in clutch situations offensively. So those two for sure have earned our trust. And you go to first base. Evan Applewick, who didn't start the year last year in our opening lineup, but once he got his opportunity, he took the most of it or made the most of it, and really didn't come out. Had some home runs, and he's definitely a power guy. So he's another guy that we'll lean on heavily offensively. Blake Buzzio at second base, he's another guy that did not start. The year in the opening lineup or the opening day in the lineup, starting lineup, but solid defensively. Another guy that you know what you're going to get. He's going to give you a productive at bat. He's going to get bunts down. He's going to move runners, and he's going to make routine plays at second base. So he's another dude that's tough dude. Trying to think here around the field. We've got Ryan Novak. He was a freshman last year, a true freshman that ended up playing almost every day. Left-handed guy that's kind of turned into a physical hitter. He can hit. He hits lefties, he hits righties, and he plays a solid corner outfield with a solid arm. So he should be in there, at the beginning for sure. And then, we've got some newcomers too. We've got Dom Krupinski, who's a really good utility guy. He would almost basically be the definition of a utility guy. He transferred from Indiana State, where I was at for a long time. He was recruited there as kind of a utility guy, but was a catcher as his primary position in high school. but he can catch. He's probably going to open up in center field. He's a good center fielder, and replacing Zach McDonald from last year will certainly be a chore, who's with the Tigers now, or in their organization. But if Dom needs to move to second base, he can. If he needed to play short in a pinch, he could. He's the definition of a utility guy. Left-handed hitter with some speed and some power. He's a player for sure. He's a player.
The mound, where are we at in terms of pitchers?
Well, we have a lot of options. Last year, and it's a credit to the guy. And not speaking illy of anything from last year, because those guys did what we tried to do what we were asking them to do, and they grinded through there and got some much needed experience. But we ended the year with not many arms. I thought we got the most out of our pitching staff last year, for kind of the numbers that we were dealing with, and asking guys to fulfill some roles that maybe they weren't probably ready for at that point in their career. We lost Peyton Olenek and to the Angels, and he'll be tough to replace. He had as good a last third of the year as you could possibly have. A big 6'10", 6'11", imposing right-hander. But we brought in a lot of guys. That was our goal, Casey, when we got here, was to revamp that pitching staff. We knew that was going to be a weakness of ours when we first got hired. And that proved to be true. It certainly did. But we've kind of worked to shore some things up. We've got a lot of transfers, some freshmen that we'll lean on. Really, roles are up for grabs. Clayton Burke out of NAIA school in Missouri, Austin Bergeron out of Johnson County Community College. Those are two guys that we'll lean heavily on. Roles are there to be determined, but those guys will get innings. A lot of them for sure. Hayden Cuthbertson, he is a tall, lanky lefty that is a really low arm slot, in between probably sidearm and true submarine, but he doesn't throw slow. He'll run it up there in 89, 92 from that slot, and he throws strikes. And if you can throw strikes from a funky arm slot like that and have an off-speed pitch or two that you can flip in there, you can get a lot of hitters out at any level. So he's certainly a quality bullpen guy that we'll lean on. Certainly Carson Byers is back, who was an all-conference guy last year. We'll see kind of what role he ends up having. We're working him up to be a starter, but we'll see how that works. Pat Mastrian is back. Kind of battled some arm injuries the last quarter of the season last year, but whether or not he was ready for it or not, he kind of assumed the Friday night starter role for us for at least the first half of the season and did a good job. He did a good job giving us a chance to win. And he'll be back. Roles are still to be determined with him. Ahmad Harajli, big imposing right-hander that was up to the upper 90s this fall. He's looked good in these early workouts this early spring, winter. He was a guy that we have to tip our cap to, because this time last year he was battling blood clots and was in and out of the hospital and didn't know if he was ever going to pitch again. So he has persevered through that, and he's back. He's healthy and he's ready to go. He's got a good arm, live arm, with couple good off-speed pitches too. So don't know what role he'll have. Working him up to be a starter as well. We'll see how that kind of works out. But we certainly have some. Cole Polly is a guy that had Tommy John right before the season opened last year. He's back. He threw yesterday versus live hitters for the first time, and he looked good. It was good to see Cole back out on the mound, because his hopes were high. He was having a really good fall and winter last year, then had the arm injury, so it was really good to see him out there. He's good. Fastball, slider, sinker, slider guy that throws strikes, competitive kid. Good to see him out there. There's a lot. We've got quite a few options on the mound. I don't know if we have a true bona fide number one, but we've got a lot of guys that are very capable of winning college games.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the schedule. Because I know you are off to Charleston, South Carolina in the next few weeks, and then actually literally next week,
Yeah.
to play some teams, and then heading down to Tennessee, and then the home schedule begins with some Horizon League opponents, and yeah, and then we're almost into MAC play. So kind of talk about the non-conference slate for a bit of where what the schedule is going to look like there.
Sure. Yeah, we open up versus Charleston Southern. We play them. Then we play the Citadel Saturday, Sunday. Then we'll stay down there and play Charleston Southern again on the Tuesday. Those two programs, they're going to be solid. They both have new head coaches. So I expect there to be a lot of transfer action in terms of players in the program. I expect there to be a lot of new players. And we'll see. I don't know a ton about each program other than that they're both new head coaches, so the motivation is going to be high. They both are going to be loaded with new players looking to kind of turn programs around. So much like we were last year.
Yeah.
So we've got to hit the ground running versus those, and then we versus those two teams. Then we stay down there. Like I said, we play Charleston Southern on the Tuesday. Then we hit East Tennessee on our way back home, who's a really good team. They're a really good mid-major that you don't hear a ton about. We played them here last year, and they took 2 or 3 from us. They're good. They won 34, 35 games last year. They're a good quality opponent. So we'll hit them on the way home. Then we come home. I think we play Wright State, who's perennial NCAA team, so to speak. They're in the postseason, no stranger to the NCAA postseason, that's for sure. And then we're close to starting conference play after Northern Kentucky,
Yeah.
who was a regional team last year.
So, so kind of preview what the MAC conference is going to look like, or as the common phrase I've heard from a lot of coaches that have come on here, they don't really know what it's going to look like when conference play comes around.
Yeah, we don't. We don't. Last year, I don't really know this conference yet. Last year was my first go around with the MAC conference, and
That's
it was
right.
good baseball. A lot of parity in the league. Bowling Green was, a lot of people thought that was just like a fluke or luck, but it wasn't. They were good. They were a bona fide, legitimate Division I team. They had right-handed pitching, left-handed pitching. They had right-handed hitting, left-handed hitting. They had some speed. They'd steal some bases. They were good. They were good. They were well coached. So I don't know what necessarily they return. I know they lost some key pieces, but I'm certainly I would guess that they have replaced a lot. So I would expect them to be, up there towards the top again. Ball State, Coach Maloney's been doing it for years, has close to 1,000 wins under his belt. So I'm sure they're going to be what they always are, which is tough to beat. They'll be fundamental. Their pitchers will throw strikes. Kent State, same thing. They're going to be talented. Coach Duncan's been doing it a long time, so they're going to have athletes all over the field. There were a lot of new head coaches in the league last year, so we'll see. Kind of how Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, I thought did a tremendous job last year with their program or with their team. I'm sure they're only going to keep getting better as we are. Akron, same boat. They were towards the bottom, but they're going to be competitive. Just talking to and with Coach Faulds, knowing what his vision is for that program. Ohio. So, I mean, there's a lot of parity in the league. I don't know what to expect. Our aspirations are certainly to finish, at the top.
Mhm. Let's what is the next couple week? Well, this next week, really, just heading into the season. What have you accomplished so far, and what do you feel like you guys need to do before that first game?
Well, last week was really our first week outside. We had so much snow, and there had been a lot of ice accumulated on our field that was really difficult to get off without damaging the turf. It had kind of melted a little bit. The snow had kind of melted a little bit, then ended up freezing into almost about 2 inches of ice, which proved to be really difficult to remove from the turf without damaging the turf. So really the middle of last week, I think it was Wednesday, was our first day outside. And that's good because there's a lot of programs that won't get outside at all. So we're certainly not crying the blues or anything. So we're fortunate to have spent the last 4 or 5 days outside. But really it's not reinventing the wheel. It's outfielders seeing balls in the air. It's infielders seeing balls off the bat, trying to get our guys reads on the bases, just doing things that you can sometimes take for granted when you're inside, but prove to be the meat and potatoes of our game. It's, can you go catch a routine fly ball? Can you see a ball off a bat as a base runner and go first to third? Seeing your bunts, are they fair or foul, which you can't always tell in a batting cage. Just trying to get the meat and potatoes done. It's not always the funnest practices, but taking advantage of being outside, taking BP outside, things like that.
For sure. All right, Brian Smiley, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck to you guys this season.
Thanks, Casey. Thank you.